So my stepmother is Palestinian.
Oh, wow.
But that never resonated, like it was never presented to me as like this is a thing that we need to be learning and knowing about. And I won't say that I got to spend a lot of time with my stepmother as an adult, but my sisters and my brothers, of course, are Afro-Palestinian. And my sister Netta, who is my like spirit, just in another body.
Yep.
She also like had never, and she explained to me later, she was like, yeah, we just never talk about being Palestinian because it was like not okay. You know, you always are facing some type of backlash. You know, you could be at your job and get fired from your job, et cetera, et cetera. Now, Mark Lamont Hill is a good friend of mine, and he's always been involved since I've known him in the Palestine movement. But again, it was never really contextualized for me as something I needed to know about, which is what I think a lot of Black people in America feel. They're like, oh, that's something that's happening over there. Like even with Mark, it was like, oh, I guess he's just like into Middle Eastern studies. Like that's where my ignorance had led me.
Right.
And then also I have a lot of Jewish people around me. But
me too.
Yes.
Yeah. I got a couple. Yeah.
A few.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah. Hey.
Touché.
In comedy. Yeah.
But I didn't know that I had Zionists around me because that was not a term that had been contextualized for me before either. And so when the annual attack on Al-Aqsa Mosque happened in 2021, again, we were all in the house. And so I think that because folks were not as distracted, it allowed for there to be more of a groundswell of information. And I remember specifically also that being a year after BLM. And during Black Lives Matter, I think I just entered into different people's timelines than I was before because of my outspokenness around the Black Lives Matter movement. And I say that because I went from just being like this person who'd be talking stuff and who's funny and who's on a TV show to, for a lot of people, like, oh, this is somebody who is a social justice advocate, who's informed, etc. And so then when this happened, those same people who saw me advocating so much for BLM, in many ways were Palestinians saying, well, you need to be advocating for us too. And I will say that I definitely had, I'm going to use this wording, had fallen prey to the misnomer that questioning anything around Jewish involvement with Zionism was anti-Semitic, right? Because this is now me learning like, oh, what is Zionism, right? Then I had people around me telling me like, you shouldn't be asking about, you shouldn't be looking into, this is way too difficult for you, which... Let me tell you something. The best way to get me to learn about something...
Don't do it. Don't do it.
It's not even don't do it. It's tell me I'm too dumb to do it. Because now I'm just going to be petty.
It's really complicated.
It's really... You can't grasp it. What? That is now petty intellectualism.
It's
now
like,
I'm going to learn it just to go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Like, so... I also have a master's in African American studies. So, I mean, I'm also academically trained in identifying white bullshit. So, I mean, that's a skill that I paid a lot of money to be able to do like on an academic scholarly level. So it took me approximately 7 minutes and maybe 42 seconds to be able to say, oh, this is white bullshit. Like that's what's happening in Palestine. Like this is, y'all said it was complicated.
It took some people 75 years. So
listen, so that was the beginning. I dropped a couple friends and then I started following Eye on Palestine and began to bring Palestine into my consciousness on a daily basis. And
following Eye on Palestine, it's very hard to not do that.
And that's the thing. Like you needed to do that because you need to have that consciousness. And America is so effective at keeping our blinders on to really just invoke this narcissistic culture. America is a narcissistic culture that really teaches you that this is the best place in the world, even though there's nothing supporting that aside from access to fast food and like Skittles, but like candy. I would say honestly, the best part of America is we have a lot of good candy.
We got good high
solid
fructose.
candy,
We got
high
that good
fructose content. But I just say all that to say that my sister did an episode of my podcast, Small Doses, at that time. And when I asked her to do it, she was hesitant at first because of what the environment has been for so long around being Palestinian.
The backlash.
And right, she's like, I don't want to lose my job. And that was also contextual. I was like, I didn't even know that goes down like that.
Yeah.
I'm actually impressed. I did not push her, and I'm a pushy broad. I did not push her, and she came back and was like, man, fuck that. Let's do this shit.
And you're like, that's the energy I need. Now let's go.
Sister. I never knew how much I missed ya.
Oh, wow.
And and so she did the episode, and it was so incredibly illuminating for not just myself, but for my audience. We even replayed it post October 7th because it still rang true. She talks about her grandfather and the Nakba, and they're leaving Haifa. And I think for a lot of people that heard that interview, it really helped to contextualize Palestine beyond a political headline, but as a personal experience.
Right. Yeah.
And because she's my sister, then they have a relativism to it because it's like, oh, well, she knows somebody. This is 1 degree. So post October 7th, I will say that a lot of what just drove the loud activism beyond just being a humanitarian was, again, just being incensed at the gaslighting. It's the willful effort to convince people that what's happening is not happening.
Right.
And when you have a platform of 2.3 million people, and you know that you have an ability to really break things down, you just feel compelled to have to keep doing this until more and more people get it.